Hello and welcome. My name is Reggie, and today I will be talking about Beach Day here. This is a game designed by Brennan Smith and Josh Bowman. The art is by Ammon Anderson, and the publisher is Cake Pie Games, who kindly sponsored this video. This game is now live on Kickstarter, and I will have the link below. Now, going forward, I want to mention that previews are going to be rare on this channel. I am still a member of the OFPG Voices preview team. So if you want to see me do some more previews of some games coming out, go check out Our Family Plays Games. I have a guest appearances playlist right here on the channel. But occasionally, I will find a game that comes across my table that I genuinely am interested in because I think you, my specific audience, would find it interesting or have value for some reason. And that reason typically is these are the lighter weight, medium weight, gateway games, filler games. Those are the type of things that are welcoming and bring people into the hobby, which is kind of my entire MO and brand. And so I will do that for certain games, but it will be more of an occasional thing. Now, for Beach Day specifically, this kind of fits the bill because of the Cake Pie Games label. They are a newer publisher, and they have a slogan that says, "These games are a piece of cake to set up and easy as pie to teach." And I think that is very fitting. So let me read you an overview of the game. As you breathe in the cool, salty air that gently brushes across your face, the sound of crashing waves fills your ears. The gentle heat of the sun warms your skin while the grit of the warm sand tingles your feet. On the ground, seashells and sandcastles are scattered among puddles of ocean water, making a beautiful tapestry in the sand. It's time for your Beach Day. In Beach Day, players draft cards to create their perfect beach by decorating with shells, sandcastles, water, and more. Players place their cards as tiles to arrange these objects based on modular scoring cards. When the deck runs out, the best decorated beach wins. Beach Day takes 20 to 30 minutes to play and supports 1 to 5 players. So that's the overview of the game. I have 4 sections here for my previews. I really want to just give you a quick overview of the theme, talk about the production and art. I'll talk about the gameplay mechanics and my impressions of them, and I'll finish with a few games that this reminds me of. And this one, I've got 4 for it, so 4 games that this one, Beach Day, reminds me of. So stick around to the end to hear all of that. So Beach Day is obviously about relaxing on the beach, and that is kind of the theme here. And I think a lot of the theme is heavy lifted by the art, which I'll talk about in the next section, just in a few moments here. I just want to say that these cards do evoke this theme with just the selection of things that are in the game. Sandcastles and starfish are the victory points, sand dollars, and there's sea turtles and seashells. All of these things really work out well. I think this is supposed to be an East Coast beach, but the tide pools do remind me of my hometown in the Seattle area with tide pools. And you can see the back of the cards really have this awesome little umbrella. Again, the art is really great. And I think that is where the theme comes through the most. But there are 2 scoring objective cards that I think just identify this really, really well. And that is the sea turtle that you start with. You want to have one of the scorecards wants you to have the biggest line of empty squares of just sand. And that is great because in real life, the sea turtles want to be going far. You get 2 points for each square that is in a straight line from the sea turtle. And then another scoring objective that's the most common one for your first game. And that has the sand dollars are worth 1 point each. And trash on your beach is worth -1. Nobody wants trash on their beach. It's ugly, it's hideous. And just the placement of cards is very straightforward. We'll talk about that in the gameplay section, but you can't place over a sea turtle because no one in their right mind would ever squish a sea turtle. That's heinous. So I like all of those things. But again, like I said, this is a small deck of cards and they're square tiles. They're great. You can see them here. And I just think the theme really comes through. Again, the art by Ammon Anderson is the big piece. So I'm just going to move on to that right now. I will say Ammon Anderson is the artist that did Gnome Hollow just a year or so ago that really blew up, and a lot of that because of the visuals of that game. So I think it's really cool that this artist is doing such a small box card game from more of an upstart publisher, and I love how it looked. And I will just add a quick disclaimer that I have the prototype version here, and I know for a fact because Josh Bowman, the designer, one of the designers, he told me they are updating the art, and I can see it on the Kickstarter page right now. It looks different than what I have, so just bear that in mind with all the views you're looking at from my images, and ultimately the game that you get in your hands, you know, down the line will look a little different than this. And I think for the better. I love the art, though, from Ammon Anderson. It's really, really clear, really simple, and it just really makes you feel like you are at a beach, relaxing, chilling with family, doing the typical beach thing. So, the whole game is I think 62 cards or so. That's at least what my prototype is. We've got the umbrellas that are the main cards that you're going to be drafting from. I'll talk about that in the gameplay section, but you've got all these private objectives that are nice crabs here, and then you've got all of the objectives, and these are public objectives, and I'll talk about them later, but they could be about beach balls or sand dollars or sea turtles or the shells. They could be on whatever the objects are in the puzzle that you are creating in front of you. And then everybody starts with a random sea turtle tile that has different squares. So again, it's a 2x2 square, and you're placing those out, and I think that's really, really straightforward for people. Again, easy as pie to teach. So let's get right into the gameplay. Like I said, the theme and the artwork are really straightforward. You see exactly what you're going to get right here in the box. Very easy to move around with. So let's talk about the gameplay, because that's really where it comes out great. So in the game, you are going to be building out your puzzle. On every single turn, you are going to look at the deck of umbrella cards, and there will be 2 discarded cards right in front of it. So your option is to take one of the face-up cards, or draw 2 from the top of the deck, pick one and discard one out there. If you grab from a discard pile and it becomes empty, then you have to immediately replace it from the top of the deck, which is nice. You're always going to have the option of 2 face-up known quantities, or you look at the 2 cards and you pick one of those. Now you place them into your tableau. Very, very straightforward if you've played any tile placement games. If not, this is a good place to teach you how the average tile placement game, especially with cards and overlapping, will work. You can't have them be diagonal. They need to be adjacent. You can cover up 1 or 2 of the squares there. You cannot squish sea turtles, and you cannot tuck under a card that's already there. So really, really straightforward, and you're trying to organize these in many different ways, all based on these public objectives. So I'm going to read you a couple of these here so you can see. So the beach balls, they're like semicircles on each card. I'll find one. The beach balls are semicircles. So you're going to need to get another beach ball somewhere in there to put them together to make them into a full beach ball. And so this one will say, like, if you have 1 to 2, you get 2 points per beach ball. 3 to 4, you get 4 points. And if you have 5 or more, each beach ball is worth 5 points. So these are the types of public objectives. This is a little bit more of an advanced one. The simple one is just sand dollars versus trash. Each of the different components that could be featured on a tile has a scoring objective or multiple associated with it. And then what I already highlighted a little bit in the art section, but I really like to highlight these crab objectives here. So you can see these private cards. It might be you have the most of a certain type of shell, or you have the most beach balls completed, or if you have the least trash on your beach, you're going to get a certain number of points. So they're all giving you a little asymmetric private objective that no one else knows you're going for, that you are working on your beach. So tile placement, drafting cards, very quick turns. Every turn you're just taking 1 tile. I think from 2 to 5 players it plays very similarly. You're not waiting that long in between. The solo mode, though, I want to talk about again. I don't know if it will get changed too much by the final product here, but the solo mode I played, every single turn I'm going to draw 2 cards from the top of the deck, pick one and discard the other, and build out my entire beach for like 21 turns. You do that, and there are scenarios in the rulebook, and there are 5 objectives you have, and you have to complete 4 of them. So I really like a solo mode like this. Again, previews, I'm not giving my full opinion on these things, but just this is the type of solo mode that I personally enjoy, where it doesn't change the gameplay too much. You're not trying to beat a high score. You're not trying to beat an AI opponent, which I do love Automas, but in this one, it's just basically the same game, but you just have to go for a few of the specific objectives. So one of them was like, in scenario 1 was, I had to complete 3 beach balls, and I had to have at least 20 shells on my beach, which is way more than you would get in a multiplayer game. But again, you're not really competing with other people. You're just looking at two cards and picking one. So it's a really nice, casual, solitaire style game at one player. And I think all the other player counts are great. There really is not a lot of downtime, like I said before, but it can play really quickly at all player counts. So that is really the gameplay experience here. Now, you may have been listening and been like, wow, that sounds like a few other games. So I'm just going to talk about them. Now, let me grab a couple games that I want to show from my collection that I think are very similar. Okay, so what does this remind me of? First and foremost, the most obvious comparison is going to be Sea Salt and Paper. And now that is because of the drafting mechanic. Sea Salt and Paper, you are either looking at two discards or drawing two and picking one. And Josh, one of the designers, told me that this was kind of the breakthrough game that helped finish off the drafting mechanic. But the thing he didn't like about Sea Salt and Paper is that when there's an empty discard pile, nothing happens. You just you have one less option. And in Beach Day, it automatically gets refilled from the top of the deck, which is a great little addition. It also has the ocean theme, but I'm mostly just talking about the mechanics of drafting cards is very similar to Sea Salt and Paper. So if you like that, maybe you want to check it out. The other one I don't have on me, but that is Nemalia. And Nemalia is an animal nature theme game that has tiles very similar to these in terms of a 2x2 square, and the overlapping is similar. Public objectives a little bit different, but if you like Nemalia, small box game with 2x2 tiles that has the overlapping and the puzzliness of it, you might want to check that out. And then I have two games in my collection that are ocean themed that I think just really, it just evokes the same thing. So just thematically, number one is Seaside, which is a game here that's in a bag with a bunch of wooden tiles that come out, and they have shells and seagulls and crabs. So it's just like, oh, here, let me just show you one of these. The shell and the waves and everything. So I just think, again, Seaside was a very popular game. If this is a game that if you like that theme, if it made you feel relaxed, might want to check it out. And then a big boy that I'll just highlight is Santa Monica. This is designed by Josh Wood. And again, the sand dollars and the beach. And so it's just nice. It's a nice theme to have that. It's the only games I have in my collection that remind me of it. But this is in a very small package, puzzly, travel-friendly game that is on Kickstarter now, July 7th, 2025. Go check it out in the link below. That is my preview for this game. I hope you learned something about this game that is available now on Kickstarter. Beach Day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.